Late night bites with friends? Already hard to beat. That first too hot bite of fries you couldn't wait for, followed by ice cold Pepsi. Now that hits different. Suddenly, the energy kicks back in, the night goes longer, and the laughs don't stop. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America for a reason. With SUVs made to move with your rhythm. The versatile Equinox tackles your entire day. The spacious Traverse fits your crew and your whole weekend. And Trax brings style with value you can count on. All infused with tech that has your back, so your drive always hits the right chord. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Entering a realm between the hidden and forgotten, a slipstream caught between realities, a secret museum of the esoteric, the private library of shadows, all taking place in a world forged from mystery and caught between logic and myth. You are entering ParaReality.
Good evening, seekers of the strange and the unexplained. Welcome to ParaReality, a place where shadows whisper, mysteries linger, and the fact between the unknown grows razor thin. I'm Sandman, your guide through the hidden corridors of reality. Here every question awakens a mystery, and every mystery pulls us deeper into the truth concealed in the shadows. Tonight, we step once again into the world where truth and mystery collide. We're back.
What's going on?
Oh, man. You're trying to figure out how to operate this camera system and the board and everything else.
It is, you understand why people have audio engineers.
Yeah,
You
I just realized while I was doing the opening, I'm like, the camera was trained on Eric. I'm like, oh, sweet. Okay.
Just looking at my beautiful face.
Exactly. There it is right there, everybody. Cat Daddy himself. So we're back, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to be back.
It is. We have had some adventures lately. We went to the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference.
Yeah, man. So as this was only your second time going to a conference.
Yeah.
So compared to the first one, what do you think?
Compared to our first one, which was the Wild Man, Dog Man.
Tennessee Wildman and Cryptid Con,
yes,
which is happening as we're recording. It was yesterday.
Oh yeah, in McMinnville again.
Yeah,
yeah. This one was better, a little bigger, better speakers. Yeah, it was just a level up. So I had a great time.
Yeah, and we got definitely got more stories than we did the first time. The Cryptid Con was almost a bust. It was kind of pathetic, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just slow. Yeah.
Slow is yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good word for it. Yeah. So I don't know if you had a chance, man, to listen to the Roswell episode that we did together. Did you try?
I had a chance to listen to that.
Don't. No, I'm kidding. So there was a this is my fault. There was a mic problem, and I didn't realize that the cord for your camera wasn't, as far as the audio, it wasn't plugged into the board.
Okay.
So you can barely hear you say anything. It's just latent and pick up off of my mic right here, and it's I was like, oh God, Jesus, that really sucked. But when I was listening to it, because you also had, because we not only do this video, we also recorded audio. So your XLR was hooked up from your mic, was hooked up to the board.
Yeah.
So I was hearing you fine.
Oh, I gotcha.
But the camera wasn't picking up your audio. So I believe I've got that problem resolved now.
That's
at least I hope I do. We're gonna find out.
Trial and error.
That's right, baby. That's right. That's right. So we're gonna see what happens with this. And I've been doing video by myself for a little while, and it works out pretty good because I've got it on automatic switching, and so everything switches without me really having to do much. But with there being two of us, I have to do a lot more switching with the cameras and everything. So yeah, you're right. I know why when people do video, why they have engineers, because it's this is a lot. So we're gonna see what happens. Yeah, so that's enough rambling. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We're going to be talking tonight about something that this was actually Eric's idea. And, we've been focusing this season on the UFO phenomena. When I started out, I wanted to do something on UFOs, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is going to be the whole season. I'm going to just devote the whole season to UFOs. So that's what we've been doing, and Eric brought this idea up to me, and I thought it was a great idea. And, there are some UFO encounters that can be reduced to just a single witness, or like a single light in the sky, or just like some sort of like fleeting moment that leaves behind something, not just a story, but maybe a little bit more than that. And every so often, something happens that seems to spread across an entire community. One person sees a strange object, then another person reports, like an unusual figure, and soon you get roads and fields and isolated farms and all that kinds of stuff that become part of a mystery that nobody can really fully explain. Well, in 1977, that mystery descended on the rugged coast of Pembrokeshire and southwest Wales. It began, or at least entered, the public consciousness at Broadhaven Primary School. And this was during their lunch break, and it was a cold February day. There were a group of children who were out playing, and they reported seeing a strange object, something extraordinary that was just right outside of their playground. It was just, like I said, a strange object. It was a shiny object, and it was cigar-shaped. And it had a dome and a flashing light. And some people think it was resting in a nearby field, and others say that they saw it come up out into the sky from behind the trees, and other people say that there was some sort of tall figure wearing a silver suit that was standing next to it. Of course, their teachers didn't see this, and when the kids told them, their teachers were obviously very skeptical about this. And the headmaster of the school initially just dismissed this thing just outright, said, no, there's no truth whatsoever to this. But when the children were questioned and they were asked to draw what they had seen, their pictures shared enough similarities to make the adults wonder whether something really, truly unusual had happened to these kids. But that was just the beginning, because over the following months, there were reports of unidentified objects, strange lights, silver-suited people, silver-suited beings, electrical disturbances, animals that were scared out of their wits, and stories about mysterious visitors coming across just around the countryside. And even a hotel owner in the area claimed that an upside down saucer appeared in a nearby field, and that two faceless humanoid figures emerged from the light that was surrounding this object. And there's another event at this farm that was on the coast, and there was a family that lived there, and they reported glowing objects, failing electrical equipment, missing livestock, and once again, this silver figure, this figure that was dressed in silver, staring at them through the window. And of course, the British press quickly picked up on this, and they gave this region where all these sightings were taking place a name, and they called it the Welsh Triangle. Now, like the Bermuda Triangle, it's not necessarily a formally designed place. It's kind of a loose boundary drawn around these collection of strange stories, all these experiences that people had. And that included Broadhaven, Little Haven, St. Bride's Bay, Ripperston Farm, and the, of course, countryside of Pembrokeshire on the coast. But what actually happened there? Were the people of Pembrokeshire witnessing repeated visits from something beyond our world? Could secret military exercises near RAF Brodie have been responsible for what everyone was seeing? Did some sort of unfamiliar aircraft, protective suits, and activity around these nearby installations create the appearance of something extraterrestrial? Or was the entire flap fueled by just pranksters and like an increasingly excited media, people trying to get their 15 minutes of fame? Or did one genuine encounter ignite a chain reaction which, in fact, and rumor, folklore, hoax, and fear became almost possible to separate? Well, at least one person, one man, later claimed that he had wandered around the area wearing a silver suit as a prank. And skeptics of this whole event suggested that the school children may have mistaken something like a sewage tanker or a piece of farm equipment or something like that for a spacecraft. Military investigators came out and they didn't find any definitive evidence of anything that landed, yet those explanations have never satisfied many of the witnesses. Several of the children who are now adults have continued over the years to insist that they saw something that day, something they couldn't identify and haven't forgotten. And maybe that's what makes the Broadhaven mystery so compelling. It doesn't rely upon just one witness or one extraordinary claim. It consists of multiple stories told by different people at different locations over several months. And some accounts are better documented than others. Some may have ordinary explanations, and others may have been embellished a little bit. But when they're all placed together, the pieces kind of fit. They create one of the most unusual and controversial UFO flaps in British history. So tonight, Eric and I are traveling back in the time machine all the way to the winter of 1977 to a quiet Welsh village where a group of school children looked beyond their playground and saw something that would change their lives and transform their community into the center of an international mystery. We're going to examine what the children reported, what the drawings actually show, and how the story expanded across the Welsh countryside, and why the British military probably quietly began asking questions. And we're also going to talk about the contradictions, maybe, if we have time, some of the hoaxes, the possible military connections, and the ordinary explanations that have been proposed, if we have time. So, did extraterrestrial visitors descend on the coast of Wales? Was an experimental military operation mistaken for something that was not of this world? Or did one unexplained sighting become the spark that set an entire region's imagination on fire? Tonight, everybody, we're going to enter the Welsh Triangle. And once we cross its boundaries, separating what happened from what people have believed happened, may prove to be the greatest mystery of all. Of course, to learn more, you'll have to tune in, and find out right after this break.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America for a reason. With SUVs made to move with your rhythm. The versatile Equinox tackles your entire day. The spacious Traverse fits your crew and your whole weekend. And Trax brings style with value you can count on. All infused with tech that has your back, so your drive always hits the right chord. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
ParaReality is a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. For more information or to check out other shows on the network, please visit evergreenpodcast.com.
Broadcast from a secret bunker somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. This is the award-winning podcast, ParaReality.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, everybody. You know, before we get into this, I just want to say this. If you've been enjoying the topics that me and Eric explore here on the ParaReality Podcast, why not take this journey a little bit further with my books? I've got 2 of them for you. 50 Cryptids in 50 States is your guide to the legendary creatures from across America, exploring their history, eyewitness accounts, and the evidence behind the legends. And I also have Palo Santo and Sage, Sacred Smoke and Spiritual Cleansing, a practical guide for the traditions and the spiritual uses of cleansing herbs like sage and Palo Santo. Both books are available now on Amazon, and you can order copies also directly from my website at parareality.com. So thanks for your support, and hopefully you can find a book that you would like, and I'm trying to get them on Kindle, so coming soon, hopefully. So thank you guys, like I said, for your support and happy reading. So Easy E, what's up with the Welsh Triangle?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Not only isolated in 77 either. There was a big flap in 83 as well.
Oh, okay.
They call it the Night of the Triangles.
Ooh.
Same general area, but just 6 years later. So definitely want to touch on that before we get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's honestly a bit more encompassing than the school sighting, but these school sightings are always interesting, like the one in Zimbabwe and then the one in Westall in Australia as well is a very interesting case too.
It is. Yeah. It is very interesting. Yeah.
Because you have multiple eyewitnesses all at the same place, all drawing similar things. And then you have, obviously those are kids, and then you have the adults as well that either see or don't see. And then it kind of creates this interesting environment where you're like, do we believe the kids? They're all drawing the same thing. Was there some sort of mass consciousness event, or did they actually see something? So these are always really interesting ones.
I like the fact that the kids were asked to draw what they saw. And that was, I think, I'm not going to say a unique approach, because other UFO investigators have asked that of witnesses. But I think it was unique in the fact that it was children, and they asked the children to draw. And I've seen some of the drawings, like on documentaries and stuff, and they're like, with crayons and all this other sorts of stuff. So it's very interesting.
Yeah. but they're also pretty accurate. Like as far as
Yeah.
what we know about the UFO phenomena and the shape of things and how they look. And I mean, to me, kids can definitely be creative, and you know, they can definitely be deceiving, if you will. But
Yeah,
when you have a group of them all drawing the same thing, I think you really have to take a look at what's happening.
you can't you can't discount that exactly when they're all drawing something that is very similar or the same. You can't just dismiss whatever it was. I mean,
If it was like 3 or 4 of them, you could be like, oh, well, they just teamed up and they're just being annoying. But yeah, when it's a big group, it's tough.
yeah, that's the point I was going to make, was that, you know, we're talking about, you know, young children here, and the fact that there were so many of them. Young kids at that age don't possess the capacity to all team together and say, we're going to pull off this massive hoax, you know.
Yep. Agreed.
Now, if it was like middle school kids, like, you know, junior high kids or high school,
schoolers, yeah.
you know, maybe you could say, okay, you know, maybe they got together, but not children that were this young.
Yeah, definitely.
So what are the some of the like the basic background? I mean, I know this happened in '77 in Pembrokeshire. It was in like a rural coastal community somewhere in southwest Wales.
Yeah, I mean, you did a really good job. I'll just rehash a couple points. Yeah, I mean, it was several children described it as a large, shiny silver object. So that's, I mean, nothing new from a lot of reports.
Yeah.
Variously characterized as cigar-shaped, disc-shaped, or elongated with a raised dome. There's a 10-year-old named David Davies. He recalled seeing a silver cigar object with a dome covering roughly the middle portion. His own sighting was brief. He said it appeared from behind a tree or behind some trees and then disappeared. Apparently other children gave more dramatic accounts, but I mean, you might chalk that up to just kids being more dramatic. A handful did claim they saw a human-like figure in a silver suit that was somehow associated with the object.
Did the kids draw any pictures of the silver suited person? Do you know?
I've not seen any of the silver suit. I've seen a bunch of the craft. There is one picture here that has the craft and then the silver suit in front of the craft.
Okay. I'll see if I can dig up some pictures from online and put it on flash it on the video here.
Yeah, and like you said, the headmaster wasn't convinced. You know, when these kids were like, we saw something. So, and that's kind of what makes this Broadhaven case one of the interesting ones, as I said earlier. But yeah, all the drawings, basic characteristics: silver elongated craft, rounded domed upper section. An important point to make here is this headmaster separated the kids and had them draw them independently.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you did. Yeah,
all sitting in the same room, just like copying off each other. Like he separated them, and the drawings weren't identical. There are similarities. The children had already been talking about what they had seen, and some had heard UFO stories before, but they all had their different characteristics.
Now I'm going to throw a little monkey wrench in here and kind of play the role of devil's advocate here. There's one important complication to this, and according to one of the researchers that researched this, his name is David Clark. He examined the school records, and he found that the formal interviews of the children and the drawings that they complete that they made, that wasn't done until Monday, February the 7th, which was 3 days after the sighting, because the sighting happened on a Friday. So the children had the whole entire weekend to, like, you know, talk amongst themselves, to collaborate with everything. Now, that doesn't, you know, prove anything, but it kind of maybe a little bit weakens the popular claim that the drawings were created immediately under completely isolated conditions.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, good thing they didn't have the internet, because that might have made it more complicated.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good distinction.
Well, even the headmaster said that he concluded that he didn't think that the kids were carrying out some sort of sophisticated, hoax. His position was essentially that they'd seen something that they didn't know what it was, and not even he could make that determination.
Yeah.
He couldn't figure it out either. The kids didn't know what it was, which kind of, I guess, creates a strong point, which is, similar drawings can indicate independent corroboration, but only if the witnesses haven't exchanged information beforehand.
Yep, and kind of the last point I'll make about the kids is, like, the fact that they were younger. Mm-hmm. I think anyone who's been around young kids, they can be crazy and, embellishing and things, but they can't really sustain one topic for a long time. Right. Yeah, they're all over the place. And so I think that kind of lends credence to maybe they did see something, because for young kids to focus on one thing for 3-4 days.
Yeah.
That just seems.
Yeah. And then to carry it forward for the rest of their lives as well, Yeah. So now you had mentioned something earlier about this encounter that happened in Zimbabwe at 1994 at another school called the Ariel School.
Yep.
So it's very similar, because it also involved a group of school children that independently produced drawings, and there were strange objects near the school grounds, and the witnesses have carried all this into adulthood. So do you think that the two events could be connected, or you think it's just some sort of coincidence?
Connected in certain circumstances. I agree. I know in the Zimbabwe case the kids did say they saw some sort of humanoid. And there was a telepathic element to the Zimbabwe case that I don't think was in the Welsh one that we're talking about, the Broadhaven.
Okay.
There was a massive telepathic influence in the Zimbabwe case where the kids say they got these messages of, like, you need to be stewards of the earth, and the nukes are gonna ruin the world, and that whole aspect of certain abductions. Kind
of heralds back to the Nordics. I mean, I just did my summer series, and the Nordics were number 2, in the series, and that's kind of what they were.
That's their message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it had that aspect. But from what I can remember, the drawings are similar. So I guess kind of the transportation aspect was probably similar.
Do you know anything about the Haven Fort Hotel encounter?
Is this, I know there was a hotel owner named Ross Granville. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah.
Or Rose Granville.
Rose or Rosa.
Yeah.
The last name was Granville. Yeah, that's what I'm referencing. This happened in April 19th of 1977, and Rose Granville, she owned or at least operated the Haven Fort Hotel near Little Haven, and she reported an object resembling an upside-down saucer that landed in the nearby field, intense light with multicolored flames or some sort of illumination. And she also said she saw 2 long-limbed figures who did not have any features or distinct faces, and their heads were I get pointy cone heads.
Wow.
Yeah. And she said they also appeared to be unsteady on their feet as they were moving. And she called some people and over to, hey, come look at this. And when everybody got there, of course, everything was gone. And she later said that the ground where this saucer was scorched and damaged. So
Like something had landed.
Yeah. And I think this sighting is significant because it involved an adult witnesses, and it occurred roughly 2 months or so after the school incident in Pembrokeshire. So the descriptions were also made after Broadhaven had already become a major media story. So, does this adult report, even though it was a couple of months later, does that strengthen the story that the school kids had?
I think it definitely does. Mainly because other people are seeing stuff. There's another one. I don't have a date for it, but there was a guy named Mark Morstan who said he saw a very tall figure, 7 feet tall, silver outfit, with a motorcycle visor over its face.
Okay.
But this sighting, it's saying, sort of demonstrates why the story became considerably more elaborate than the original school sighting.
So, do you think that these two separate events were the same phenomena, or do you think were they completely separate?
I mean, I think they're similar. I guess the question is, are people just copying reports and kind of putting their own twist on it?
Yeah, and that's something that you always have to be wary of, because there are so many people out there who are either looking for their 15 minutes of fame, or B, that are nut jobs, and this thing speaks to them or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, that happened to me. Yeah.
Actually, I remember. Yeah, definitely possible. I think there's an aspect to that in probably every sighting. I will say though, I just looked up 1977 UFO encounters around the world, and there are a ton of reported sightings.
Really?
Like a lot. So there are these flaps in UFO sightings where there'll be a couple years where there's just a ton of sightings.
Yeah.
And then other years there's just not a lot. And
yeah.
So I don't know. That's just something to keep in mind.
So 1977 seemed to be a hotspot year for UFO sightings.
Seemed like one of those years. Yeah.
That's interesting. So what about the RAF investigation? Let's talk a little bit about that. Does so what's his name? He was Lieutenant Cowan from the RAF Browdy. He visited the hotel site and reportedly didn't find any convincing physical evidence that a craft had landed there. And so in his report, he kind of raised a possibility that there could have been someone, like playing a practical joke on the hotel owner. And he said that the silver suits that people were reporting to him resembled protective clothing that could be used by workers at the nearby oil refineries. So I think this is important because the Ministry of Defense, they publicly treated most UFO reports as having no significance to the Department of Defense. But material in the archives shows that officials requested that this inquiry that Lieutenant Cowan did remain discreet, and it went through the RAF's Provost and Security Service. So,
interesting.
Yeah, so I think, you know, you got to be careful when you talk about stuff like this. I mean, because I don't have access to, you know, the Ministry of Defense records or anything like that. And I think the only person that would have a really good answer would have been Nick Pope. You know, may he rest in peace. And he wasn't in that capacity with the UFO stuff in 77, but he could have had access to it, you know. But if you look at like National Archives, that can confirm that the British UFO records commonly involved whether reported objects posed an air defense national security concern. Now, not necessarily determining whether the craft were alien in nature or not, but they were more concerned about, you know, national security, which is kind of where our modern day United States UFO investigations is concerned. They're focusing now on, is this a security problem, which is very interesting to me, because the Ministry of Defense in Great Britain or the UK or England, whatever, was they were doing it in the 70s, and it took us that long to catch up.
Yeah, well, the worrying thing about that idea is that there is no way, unless the Tic Tac UFOs are military technology, there is no way we can compete against whatever that is.
Or anybody else for that matter.
Yeah, or literally anywhere in the world. So if that's the case, yeah, we're pretty screwed. I mean, it doesn't seem like the
if they want to do anything bad to us, we're screwed.
Yeah, if they have malintent, we might as well just wave the white flag.
Yeah. Let me raise that sucker now. Yeah.
But back then, I don't know. They don't seem very threatening. In the sense, I mean, I'm sure there are reports of them near military bases or around military installations, but I will say the one thing about the refinery thing, real quick, as far as people wearing the silver suits and whatnot, probably they do wear that, but why would they be wandering around the countryside?
Hoaxsters, pranksters, jokesters.
Yeah, but for what?
Your guess is as good as mine.
They get a thrill off of scaring people. I don't know. It just doesn't.
Well, I mean, you know, why do people play pranks? You know, because they enjoy doing it. So, if you were of that mind, then why not, you know, do a prank that was going to prank the community as a whole, instead of just let me prank Eric. You know, let me prank Nashville, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like people would want recognition. Like,
and there you go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that. I mean, yes, I do agree with you. There are people who do get that thrill, but I feel like they would want recognition. And that's just what I'm thinking.
Well, you look back at the two dudes. I cannot remember their names now, but the two guys who have gone on record for saying that they're the two that started the whole crop circle phenomenon, how they kept everything quiet for years because they were just fooling everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So, who knows? So what else do you have?
Well, I think if we're good there, I'd like to move on to 83.
Yeah. You mentioned that, and that intrigued me.
Yes. So this is called the Night of the Triangles. This is January 1983. Same geographical location, roughly. This is more towards Swansea. If you're familiar with Swansea, is probably the most notable town. Cardiff, in southwest Wales.
Okay.
Other towns would be Port Talbot, Neath, Cowbridge. So reports began coming in late afternoon, roughly 4:30 to 5 p.m., and continued into the evening. They were not confined to one town, basically this broad corridor of South Wales. Roughly 80 miles is how far, basically, the sightings went.
Okay.
What people saw, they saw a huge, darker black triangular object with lights around the edges. So that's your classic, triangular black UFO.
Yeah. My favorite UFO, the black triangles.
Yeah, right.
Love them.
Very slow, very low altitude, little or no sound. Lights in all three corners of the triangle. The ability to hover and occasional changes in direction. So, yeah, this is an interesting one because it's not moving fast. It's just hovering. Obviously, the lights are weird, and it's making little or no sound. So,
classic black triangle UFO.
Yep.
Classic.
One witness, there's no way I'm going to pronounce that town, but it's spelled LLANTWIT Major. And this guy's name was Joe Tolland. He'd spent 15 years as an RAF engineer, Royal Air Force. He initially thought he was looking at an aircraft being refueled in flight. He eventually rejected that because the object's apparent size, lack of noise, and unusual lighting. His estimate is that the object was roughly 300 feet across.
Dang.
At an altitude of 600 to 1,000 feet. So that's huge.
That's a huge
and
black
that's
triangle.
Really low.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about black triangles is they do, appear a little bit lower in the sky. Mm-hmm. But, man, that is a huge UFO.
Right.
Gigantic.
So Swansea was one of the hotbeds. And this other report comes from two 15-year-old kids, Mark and Ian. They reported seeing two triangular objects extremely low over the area with 3 white lights. They said the objects moved slowly westward, turned south, appeared to move together, and then began slowly ascending. So this is another interesting point about these black UFOs is they usually have smaller UFOs around them, almost like this is like a mothership, and like the other UFOs are like, I don't know, scouts or some sort of other craft.
And that's an interesting topic you should bring up because in my one of my earlier episodes, I discussed that very thing where I was talking about the 3 most common types of UFOs, and the black triangles usually are considered to be like the observers, and the saucers are more of the scout type deal.
Yep.
And the cigar-shaped ones are like the overseers over everything. So, that's my theory.
Yeah,
that's my theory.
I've heard similar.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that's exactly what it is. That's just my theory, and I'm not claiming that it's an original theory, but that's just something that I have posited, as they say.
So there's another. I think there's probably 2 more accounts that we probably, if we got time for that.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. It's time for a commercial break here, and we will be right back in just a few minutes. I say a few minutes. Let's say 2 minutes.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America for a reason. With SUVs made to move with your rhythm. The versatile Equinox tackles your entire day. The spacious Traverse fits your crew and your whole weekend. And Trax brings style with value you can count on. All infused with tech that has your back, so your drive always hits the right chord. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hey guys, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a story, a question, or a topic you'd like me to cover? If so, you can reach me directly by email at sandman@parareality.com. Or, for a more personal touch, you can just call the Secret Bunker at 615-461-5001 and leave a message. Just know that by calling, you're giving me permission to feature your voice on the podcast. Again, that number to call is 615-461-5001. You want to stay up to date with all things ParaReality? Then follow me on all major social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook at sandman.parareality, or you can follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok by looking for my handle at ParaRealRadio. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by looking for ParaReality 1. That's ParaReality with the number 1 behind it. And don't forget to visit my website, ParaReality.com. That's where you'll find an archive of all of my past podcast episodes for free. You can also find the latest in paranormal news from all around the world under the Para News section. Your support means everything, whether you buy something from my store or leave me a positive review on whatever podcast app you're listening on. A 3-star or higher review goes a long way in helping this podcast reach new listeners, and I would truly appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Hey, listen, if you're going to be anywhere near Hopkinsville, Kentucky in a couple of weeks, I've got an invitation for you. So on August the 22nd and 23rd, I'm going to be appearing at Goblin Con in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and I'd love for you to stop by and say hello. I have the ParaReality Podcast booth all set up with my books, merch, and plenty of opportunities for you to talk about UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, conspiracy theories, and all things strange and unexplained. And here's something else I'd love for you to do, and that's bring me your story. If you've had an encounter with the unknown, a ghostly experience, a UFO sighting, a cryptid encounter, or anything else that defies explanation, I want to hear about it. And I want you to tell it to me. And your story could end up being featured on a future episode of the ParaReality Podcast. So don't be shy. Come find my booth. And I think I mentioned this last time. I get a lot of people. I go to several conferences a year to collect stories. And I get a lot of people who, they want to tell me their story, but they don't want to go on the record for it. But they'll talk to me about it all day long. So my request is, don't be one of those people. Don't be shy. If you've got a story that you want to tell it to me. You don't have to give me your name. You can remain totally anonymous. I can disguise your voice. I can disguise your face, whatever. I got tons of equipment and tons of software that I can use to make sure that you're not identified if you don't want to be identified. So don't be shy. If you've got a story, find my booth, tell it to me. And whether you've been listening since the early days of the podcast or you've just discovered the show, I'd really enjoy meeting you regardless of whether you've got a story to tell or not. Of course, I want to hear your experiences, but overall, I'd just like to meet you guys, and I'd like to talk to you about the mysteries that keep us all asking these hard questions that we ask. So if you're planning to attend Goblin Con on August the 22nd and 23rd in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, make sure that you stop by the ParaReality Podcast booth. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to hear your story. And I'll see you in Hopkinsville on August the 22nd and 23rd. Okay, Easy E, take us home. What are we going to finish this up with?
Yeah, last two sightings real quick. So another witness, Orwin Jones, was leaving his home in Sketty shortly after 6 p.m.
Sketty?
Sketty.
Yeah,
that's the name of the town.
Makes me hungry.
He reported a black triangular object, approximately the size of a car, blacker than the surrounding sky, triangular.
Often reported with black triangle UFOs.
Yep, very dark, virtually silent, and moving very slowly. So very similar to what other people are saying. He reportedly watched it pass over the neighborhood and then ascend into the sky. So this is a point we made earlier. It's not all giant triangles. People also saw these little ones. And the last one here, this is one of the most frequently cited accounts. An object estimating to be about 600 feet above the ground, described enormous and silently. I think this is similar to the one we started with.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, but its speed was estimated around 30 miles per hour. Far too slow for an airplane, and that's an interesting point. And the hovering, that technology did not exist. I know they had the Harrier jet. That is a thing people bring up. Is the UK has the Harrier jet, which is known to hover.
Yeah, those things are badass. Yeah.
And another witness described something that appeared larger than a jumbo jet moving very slowly. So jumbo jet is probably referring to the large passenger aircrafts at the time.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. So I'd like to take just a second before we close it out and talk about pranksters, because I know we mentioned this a couple of times, and the main thing is that if you fast forward, this happened in 1977, and then we had some stuff happened, in, what was it, 83?
83.
And if you fast forward all the way to 1996, there was a guy, a local businessman named Glenn Edwards, and reportedly he admitted that he had walked around the area in a silver suit as a prank back in 1977 when all of this stuff started. Now, you would think, okay, sounds like mystery solved, right? But once again, you have to look at, is he just trying to gain his 15 minutes of fame? Does he have some mental disturbance going on? What are his motivations? It does raise several questions. And so if he did do it, so which sightings was Edwards really responsible for? And when he started doing this, did this start before or after the report at the school?
Yeah.
And then you have to ask, well, if it was him and he was doing this as a prank, could all these witnesses have seen him at every reported location?
True.
Yeah. So, I don't think you can say that his confession is going to explain away these reported objects in the sky or anything like that. Was he telling the truth? Was he exaggerating? Was he just trying to take credit for something? Like I said, get his 15 minutes of fame. I don't know. It could explain some of the reports of the silver suited humanoid thing, but it doesn't automatically explain every single sighting in that flap. So that distinction is, in my opinion, that distinction is essential, because proving that the hoaxes occurred isn't the same as proving that the entire wave of sightings was a single coordinated hoax.
True. And that would, it doesn't explain the aircraft. It doesn't explain the craft that people are seeing. It could possibly explain the silver suited figure. And one point I'd just like to finish off with this on my part. In 1993, RAF Cosford reported seeing a large triangular object near their base, apparently with military personnel and radar related claims. So there's this. Basically, the point I'm trying to make is there's this 20-year time frame in South Wales where these objects were seen in multiple locations, basically all over the place in South Wales. So, yeah, it's a really interesting spot, and people who are into British UFO lore, no one said this, but this seems to be sort of like their Roswell or their big UFO event. Yeah,
exactly. So before we bring it home here, let's take the final required commercial break. I know it seems like we just took one, but it's been a few minutes. So let's take the final commercial break, and then we'll be right back to bring it on home in a couple of minutes.
The perfect lunch combo. That first bite of your favorite sub, followed by ice-cold Pepsi. Add a couple of friends, and now that's next level. Suddenly, the laughs get louder, the stories keep flowing, and the food tastes better. Because Pepsi brings out more flavor, more fun, and more of the moment. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a Pepsi Zero Sugar today.
Chevy is called the heartbeat of America for a reason. With SUVs made to move with your rhythm. The versatile Equinox tackles your entire day. The spacious Traverse fits your crew and your whole weekend. And Trax brings style with value you can count on. All infused with tech that has your back, so your drive always hits the right chord. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
You've listened to the stories. You've questioned the truth. Now it's time to wear it. Head over to ParaReality.com and check out the official ParaReality merchandise shop. T-shirts featuring the official podcast logo, the iconic ParaReality all-seeing eye, plus mugs, hats, totes, pillows, stickers, and yes, even something for your pooch. But while you're there, don't stop at the merch. Look a little closer. Dig a little deeper. Somewhere on the site, you'll find the entrance to the secret bunker, the members-only section of ParaReality.com. Inside, the ParaReality top secret files. Real FBI documents on UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, Adolf Hitler, and more. Plus classified audio. Some of the strangest messages ever left on the secret bunker hotline, and access to a secret podcast side project that's never been released publicly. And here's the best part. It's all absolutely free. Once you're in, don't forget to claim your free ParaReality Podcast Secret Bunker t-shirt. Just make sure you place your order. The truth is out there. The bunker is waiting. Visit ParaReality.com and find what you weren't supposed to.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's time to close it down. Easy E, what are your final thoughts?
It's a really interesting case. There's a lot more than what we talked about there. I mean, there are a ton of accounts.
Yeah.
You could do a 3-hour episode on it.
Absolutely.
A really interesting case, one of the biggest in British UFO lore. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And I'm glad that you suggested this for an episode, because I hadn't really, have been vaguely familiar with it, but it wasn't on my radar to bring it on to do an episode. So I'm glad that you suggested that.
Yes.
So everybody, as we leave the rugged coastline of Pembrokeshire and step back across the boundaries of the Welsh Triangle, we find ourselves facing the same question that's followed this case since 1977. And that's, what did these people actually see? Now, the simplest answer would be that there wasn't just a single explanation. Some of the reported silver-suited figures could have been people playing pranks. Some of them may have been oil workers or military personnel wearing protective clothing, just walking around. Why? I don't know. These strange lights could have come from aircraft. It could have been stars or other vehicles or ships or boats operating along the coast. Because remember, this is a coastal area, right? It could have even been military activity near RAF Broughty. And once the story reached the newspapers and the television, imagination, suggestions, rumor, and I guess the natural human desire to become part of something extraordinary could have contributed to all of these growing waves of reports. But acknowledging those possibilities doesn't mean that every witness was mistaken or lying or just easily influenced. At the center of this mystery remains this group of school children who claimed that they saw something strange that was just sitting right outside of their playground. They may have disagreed about certain details, and their drawings that they made weren't produced, immediately. It was 3 days later, so that gave them time to discuss the sighting amongst themselves. But still, the headmaster that conducted this investigation and these interviews, he concluded that they didn't appear to be capable of sustaining this elaborate hoax. And many of those same children who carried the experience they have carried the experience with them into adulthood. And they, even to this day, continue to insist that what they saw was unlike anything that they had ever seen. Now, they could have misidentified an ordinary object, and they could have combined a fleeting visual impression with the excitement that was spreading through the school. And maybe they did see machinery through some trees, or a tanker reflecting the sunlight that was going on at that time of year, or something connected to a nearby military activity. But maybe they saw exactly what they said they saw: an unknown craft positioned in a field near Broadhaven Primary School. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it came from another planet, because the word unidentified is not a synonym for extraterrestrial. It simply means that after all these years, we cannot confidently determine what that object was. And sometimes admitting that we don't know is more honest than forcing the evidence to support the answer that we prefer. So the wider Welsh Triangle presents an even greater challenge. The school incident, the Haven Fort Hotel encounter, the events at Ripperston Farm. I don't even know that we got into Ripperston Farm at all. And all these lights and figures that reported throughout the region, they're frequently presented as pieces of one enormous puzzle. But what if they weren't part of the same puzzle? What if one genuine but misunderstood sighting occurred near the school, while later reports arose from unrelated aircraft and local legends, pranks, mechanical failures, the influence that the media had on the situation? What about all that? And this is where the case becomes something more than a story about flying saucers. And we owe the witnesses, we don't owe them either blind faith or casual dismissal. What we do owe them is fairness. We owe them a fair hearing, because the purpose of investigating a mystery shouldn't be to protect our preferred conclusion. It should be to follow the evidence wherever that evidence takes us, even when it leads us into some place that's uncomfortable. And the believer must be willing to admit when an ordinary explanation fits. And the skeptic must also be willing to admit when an explanation leaves important details unresolved. And somewhere between the two lies the honest pursuit of the truth. And nearly half a century later, we're still looking for it in those fields on the British coast. And maybe these sightings were a collection of mistakes and hoaxes and military craft and stuff. And maybe something truly unknown did visit that coast on the outside of Wales, or maybe the most unsettling possibility is that both statements contain part of the truth. So as we close tonight's episode, I want to leave you guys with this question. Even if just one of the encounters inside the Welsh Triangle happened as the witnesses described, what, or maybe I should say who, was watching the people of Pembrokeshire in 1977? Until next time, keep your eyes open, Keep asking questions and never stop seeking the truth that awaits just beyond the edge of ParaReality. For Eric, I'm your host, Sandman. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of ParaReality. We'll be back with another new episode next Friday at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure you tune in and find out. Available on all podcast platforms. Everyone, I hope that this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. On behalf of my co-host, Eric, I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening and wonderful weekend. We'll see you again next week. Good night, everybody.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
Close your eyes, exhale, feel your body relax, and let go of whatever you're carrying today.
Well, I'm letting go of the worry that I wouldn't get my new contacts in time for this class. I got them delivered free from 1-800-CONTACTS. Oh my gosh, they're so fast.
And breathe.
Oh, sorry. I almost couldn't breathe when I saw the discount they gave me on my first order. Oh, sorry. Namaste.
Visit 1-800-CONTACTS.com today to save on your first order.
1-800-CONTACTS.